Started. All right, so call to order. Welcome to the closed session, everyone. Uh, I am calling this meeting to order. The time is now 6 p.m. Madam Clerk, can we please take roll?
Councilmember Gama,
Here.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Here.
Councilmember McQueen Lejeune,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Perez,
Here.
and Mayor Martinez.
Present. We will now hear public comments. Zoom participants, please use the raise your hand feature if you would like to comment. You will have 3 minutes to provide your comments. Madam Clerk, does anybody have a public comment tonight?
No closed session public comments.
Okay, thank you. Mr. City Attorney, can you please read the closed session item into the record?
Absolutely, Mayor Martinez. We have one item on the agenda for closed session tonight. It is conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. The agency designated representatives are listed on the agenda, and the employee association is the Port Hueneme Police Officers Association, POA.
Okay, thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Do any council members have any conflicts to disclose for the listed closed session agenda item?
I do. I will be excusing myself from this conference due to potential spousal income.
Okay. The council will recess to closed session. The time is now 6:01 p.m. We'll be back in a bit. Welcome everyone to the City Council regular meeting. I'm calling this meeting to order. The time is now 6:30 p.m. Can you all please stand and join us for the flag salute? Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, can you please take roll call?
Councilmember Gama,
Here.
Councilmember Hernandez,
Here.
Councilmember McQueen Lejeune,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Perez,
Here.
and Mayor Martinez.
Present. Tonight's inspiration is going to be led by Councilmember Gama.
The chairs that we had were very old, and so, yeah, we're enjoying the comfort of the dais tonight. If I could have Audrey Diaz and her family and supporters and coach and school principal, assistant principal to come up.
Oh yeah, and Councilmember Gama, can you speak to the mic so everyone can hear you?
Okay. I absolutely love being able to give inspiration to our community, and today we are highlighting the success of Audrey Diaz. She's a champion, and becoming a champion is very difficult, and there are 6,000 wrestlers, and 32 become champions, and then 32 of those 6,000 go to the state final. And unfortunately, she did not become the state champion, but her success as the champion of the Southern section needs to not go unnoticed. And so I've asked you to come here today so we could honor you as a 2023 champion. The first time I met Audrey was probably 14 years ago. We were doing a fundraiser car wash right across the street at Hueneme Elementary. And it's really cool to see the youth of our community grow and develop and then become champions. And so for that, you really are truly an inspiration to all. And so we have this certificate, and I'd like to read it to you. As a 2023 CIF Southern Section Wrestling Champion, you are an inspiration to your community, all your fellow classmates, and the future students of Hueneme High School. As a quiet team captain, you led by example and showed your teammates what it takes to be the champion. Your dedication to your education and sport has made you an inspiration to all. The Port Hueneme City Council honors your success, and we hereby recognizes you as an outstanding, inspirational leader of your school and community. On behalf of the City Council, I want to congratulate you very much on your success. And then to make it official, there it is. All right. If you'd like to say anything, you can.
I just want to say thank you to my parents and my coaches for seeing my potential and getting me to where I am today. So thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. It's a very positive inspiration. Mr. City Attorney, can you please provide a closed session report?
Absolutely, Mayor Martinez. There was no reportable action taken in closed session tonight.
Okay. Now we will hear public comments not pertaining to any items on the agenda. Any comments from those participating on Zoom? We'd like to ask that you use the raise your hand feature so we can call on you during the appropriate time. This will be the same process for comments pertaining to each agenda item as well. Staff will unmute your mic and you will have 3 minutes to provide your comments. Madam Clerk, does anyone have a public comment tonight?
Or do you have a public comment?
Yes,
Oh,
not regarding to the agenda, something else, is it now, it's my first time.
okay.
So would this be it?
Yes, you can come now. After your comment, if you can just grab one of those cards at the end and fill it out, just so I have your name and information correct.
My name is Salvador Aparicio, and I'm here to ask the mayor and the council members for more support for our police officers and for more police officers, actually. And obviously that requires money. So that's why I'm here, because recently my community was victim of severe graffiti. All over all of the nice houses, they were all graffitied. And I think that's just the start. So we need more police officers. So that's why I'm here.
All right. Thank you for your comment.
All right.
We can't
That's
comment
pretty
on
much
it
it.
right now, just so you know, but we appreciate your public comment.
And staff takes note of what you've requested and they usually follow up.
Okay. Thank you.
My wife and I, my name is David Hawes, and this is Becky Hawes, and my daughter Bethany. We've owned a house at Surfside for over 10 years. We've seen some changes here in the city and wanted to comment on two of them. One has to do with the swings that they took out of the park
The beach.
at the beach 2 years ago. At the time, I was told, because I walk by there quite often, is they would be replaced and that it was a mistake that was made and that they would move them. When I first got here, we had swings on both sides of the pier. And they're not the little tiny ones like we have in Miranda Park, which I live right next to. They had a 10-foot arc on them, and so my daughter loves to swing. And so she would go down there and for hours swing. There used to be a group of handicapped individuals that did some work up here in one of the facilities up here. And they came down on a regular basis also. Since that time, I haven't seen them. The young lady that I talked to at the time promised me that they would be back. I didn't talk to her about the first time when they pulled the one out, and that happened when, I believe, when the beach eroded. But it was the second one, and she said that they had plans in place and it was going to be done. So, Becky, do you want to say anything?
Basically just said it. I just know that from my own standpoint of being a mom of a special needs child, adult, that it's very helpful to them, that need for movement. And they can't do a lot of the things. They don't go usually swimming in the ocean and they don't boogie boarding and different things like that. But that's something that she can do individually. It's very helpful to her. And it's helpful to the other special needs kids. And being a grandmother of 19, I, love to have
19
my
grandchildren. that
Right.
is.
9 children. It just is a wonderful activity for them. You can allow them to, do individually, and it's just a really good activity. So we would encourage the board to please think about that and at least put one set back. That would be really nice of 3 swings.
And hopefully not the ones that are, the 5-foot chains that you get no exercise from.
Thank you.
I have one other one. Oh, my time's up, but
No, you still have 30 seconds.
okay. So I am on the HOA board at Surfside, and the city is always pressuring us when we take out trees, and we've had to do that because of some structural issues. And we have to put them back within a certain period of time. If not, we get in trouble. Well, I know right next to the pickleball course, there was a huge coral tree, and I understand why the coral trees come out. They haven't put it back. It's been over a year. There's also one on Seaside, right next to the community center. Likewise, huge coral tree. Now it's just a plot that has weeds in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haas. Madam Clerk, does anyone else have a public comment tonight?
Thank you. There are no comments on Zoom, but I do have 2 written public comments that
Okay.
I'll
You
read
may,
down.
you may read them, please.
Dear City Council, my name is Mark McLernan, a longtime resident, and over the past couple years, I have written a few times concerning the issue with the city manager, Mr. Connors. I am glad to see that Mr. Connors is no longer with the city, but his final actions have likely left the city exposed to litigation. In addition, in the past, when the council asked for recruiting firm options for a new city manager, an option was put in to retain the city manager, which was contrary to what the council voted in October 2022. This was done under the watch of our city attorney, Mr. Kevin Spalding. It appears that Mr. Spalding was representing other people's interests before the interests of the city. The city attorney was up for review around September of last year, but it does not appear that it was ever started with all the going on with the city manager issue. I would like the council to think about having a city attorney that appears to put the interests of other people and his own ahead of our cities. Is he really giving the best legal advice to protect our city? Is the city attorney showing that he is right for our city? I would like to think so, but actions and results could indicate otherwise. Respectfully, Mark F. McLernan.
I couldn't hear that last name. Could you say that again?
McLernan. The next public comment is from Juliet Rodriguez. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Juliet, and I am a resident of Port Hueneme. As we approach the 75th anniversary of our city's incorporation, I grow in excitement upon hearing of some of the plans that the city has for celebration. I know many have been hard at work putting the celebration together, and those efforts are greatly appreciated. While some events and venues are known, that is the parade, pictorial, postmark, etc. There are other plans that may or may not be in the works. I have not heard anything on whether the city has invited past mayors and council members to the city council meeting of March 20th, the last council meeting before celebrations began, to be recognized and reunited with the current council. I have seen this done before and wonder if this is something that is planned, but that the community does not know about. Have other municipalities, civic organizations been included that they may provide proclamations or resolutions at this meeting? It seems like a great moment to include our neighboring municipalities and highlight the mayors and council members on whose shoulder the current council stands. I take this moment to make this inquiry, as I do not know if this is already in the works. If not, there is still time to make those invitations. Also, is there a way that the community can view the history of Port Hueneme DVD on the city website? Perhaps include a link on the anniversary page. Kindly, Juliet. And that concludes the public comment.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We'll now move on to agenda approval for City Council. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
Move to approve. Second.
Madam Clerk, can you please take vote?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously.
Okay, now we're gonna move on to conflict of interest declaration. Do any members of the council have any conflicts of interest to disclose for any item on the agenda? Okay, hearing none, we're gonna move on to presentations. The first presentation is Explorer of the Year Certificate of Recognition, presented by Commander Robertson.
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of City Council, members of staff, and members of the public. Tonight, I would like to recognize Explorer Captain Liliana Negretti for receiving the 2022 Port Hueneme Police Department Explorer of the Year Award. She was presented the award on February 16th, 2023 at the Ventura County Explorer of the Year event, which was held at the Ocean View Pavilion and was hosted by the Port Hueneme Police Department. Captain Negretti has been with the Port Hueneme Explorer program for the past 4.5 years. She is a 5-year resident of the city of Oxnard and a 2020 graduate of Trinity Pacific Christian High School. She attended and graduated from the 2019 Oxnard Port Hueneme Police Explorer Academy and achieved the rank of Class Sergeant. Soon after graduation, she quickly promoted to the rank of Explorer Sergeant and then to the rank of Explorer Lieutenant. Captain Negretti is very passionate about the program and is always willing to lend a helping hand. She has taken a leadership role within the program in helping in organizing the turkey giveaway and the toy giveaway, while still volunteering over 400 hours within the property and evidence room. In January of 2023, she was promoted to the first ever Explorer Captain for the Port Hueneme Police Explorer Post, and soon after being promoted, led a 5-person team of explorers at the Chandler, Arizona Tactical Competition. This highly sought out Explorer competition consisted of 50 law enforcement Explorer Post teams from across the country, competing in 7 scenario-based events. 3 of the explorers on Captain Negretti's team had never participated in the competition before. With her leadership skills, she was able to lead the team to second-place wins in the unknown alarm response scenario and the hostage negotiation scenario. In the time that Captain Negretti has been a member of the post, they have won a total of 23 competition trophies. This past July, she was hired by the Port Hueneme Police Department as a support services technician assigned to the property and evidence room, following in the footsteps of 3 of her advisors, Officer Henry Montalongo, Property and Evidence Supervisor and Reserve Officer Frank Montalongo, and Reserve Officer Jeanette Lujan. all of whom were Port Hueneme explorers themselves. Please join me in congratulating Captain Liliana Negrete for the 2022 Explorer of the Year. I'd like to invite members of City Council to make any comments.
We'll start with Councilmember Martha McQueen LaJohn.
Wonderful presentation. It seems like you have a lot to be congratulated for today. I heard some firsts in there as well. So congratulations for all your hard work, which of course takes commitment, dedication, and just hard work. So congratulations.
I'm not surprised that you are receiving this honor because I've worked with you several times and I find you to be highly energetic, friendly, helpful, caring, and a very hard worker. And so congratulations, and look forward to seeing you advance in your career in police work, I believe. That's what it sounds like to me.
Congratulations, Captain Negrete. And congratulations on your new assignment as well, working with our own police department. It's nice to see people dedicate themselves to volunteering as an explorer, then moving on and serving in a paid position. And that's really great. So congratulations. We're very proud of you.
Congratulations, and I know you to be dedicated. Every time there is an event, even if there's one explorer, you are the one, always, every time. So I think it's great. You're a great testament to leadership, and congratulations on your new assignment with the PD. And, you know, you're going places. You have a great inspiration, and you have a great history and a great future ahead of you. So thank you.
Yes, congratulations, and let's give her another hand. Applause, round of applause. Would you like to say any words?
Thank you for your congratulations. This has been an amazing opportunity for me in my career, in my life. I don't know if I'd be the same person I am today if it wasn't for this program. So I just want to thank you and give thanks to my advisors and my parents. Thank you.
Thank you.
And real quick, if we could, I'd like to invite the mayor down to just take a quick photograph.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, it's fine. We'll get him.
Yeah.
We're going to move on to our second presentation, Hueneme Beach Festival, presented by Steve Kinney.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. I'm still processing that throwaway comment about 19 grandchildren that we just heard. I'm Steve Kinney, representing the Reach Board tonight. Maya Zumaya had a conflict tonight, so I will be the only person here tonight. She and I will be back together in 2 weeks for the follow-up, or sort of the second part of our discussion with you about the Hueneme Beach Festival. But tonight, let me just give you a quick kind of overview of what's coming up for this year. So you see a familiar map from last year, including the dates from last year. We haven't updated the graphics yet to show 2023, but the Hueneme Beach Festival, the success of the last 2 years, is coming back for its third year now on August 26th and 27th. It will run from 11 to 7 on Saturday and Sunday as it did last year. And basically the same physical layout as was the case last year, meaning it's expanded along Surfside Drive to allow for 2 stages, the Tony Young Tony Young Community Stage along Surfside Drive, and the Chalk Art Festival along that pavement as well. So it's got a larger footprint to accommodate the same kinds of activities that we had last year. Live music on two stages, the main stage and the Tony Young stage, where we try and highlight the community groups and entertainers and performers there. Carnival rides for kids, arts and crafts, the chalk art exhibition that's been along Surfside Drive, community booths for nonprofits in the city to highlight their own activities and services and what they provide to the community. Sand sculpture, great food, cold beer, all the elements of what people look for a great and entertaining day at the beach. And that's really what this is all about. We're at one of the best beaches anybody knows about, so we're just there to celebrate it and allow people to have a great time. So there is one new element to introduce. This year, we're proposing a $10 admission fee this year. It has previously been free admission. Proposing actually $10 adult tickets, $5 for seniors, veterans, and youth between 6 and 12, and then younger kids than that, 5 and under, would be free. And there will be free parking. So it's actually just a little bit of a flip, because last year was free admission, but it cost $10 for the parking that we provided over the port lot. So this year, $10 ticket, but free parking. And the reason for all of that is to develop proceeds that will benefit both REACH and future city events of the type that you have started this year with the 75th anniversary celebration coming up in a couple of weeks. That number didn't come out of thin air. We looked at what the market is supporting in festivals around here in particular, and also a little further out. And what I show you there is your prototypical family of 4, mom and dad, and a, say, 10-year-old kid and a 3-year-old kid that are all going to go to the festival. So when you factor in the different prices for different ages for all of these events, and the parking as well, that's how you come up with the single number over at the right-hand side. So if you see the top 4, they're all right around $50, $60 for our fare at Ventura County. And so the beach festival is just about half of what all those other festivals in the area are charging. And I also added in the other line about the 75th anniversary street fair coming up at a cost of $0, because I just wanted to contrast that kind of event, purely a city event that's focused on purely the residents of Hueneme and celebrating sort of a civic mission. I'm absolutely right for that to be a free event for the community, but it's a different sort of event by its nature than our festival, which I think relates more to those other festivals that you see in the area. So that's why the choice of those price points leading to those numbers. And as I said, the proceeds are intended to be a fundraiser for REACH. That was the sort of intent from the outset of the partnership of REACH in the city starting in 2021. And the history of the last 2 years at the festival have shown us that from the revenue sources we had available to us in the festival, it's more or less a break-even event. and, and not the kind of fundraiser that was originally envisioned. Hence the move to add on an admission fee this year. So as I said, the proceeds go to REACH and to the city, presumably sort of a 50-50 division of the outcome there. For the city, you can use it for events like the 75th and future ones that you have in mind. For REACH, we use it to support, as we have done in the past, these kinds of community organizations and community activities that you're all familiar with, the luncheon, Real Guppies, Cops for Tots, the school district events, the Navy, actually junior ROTC, Wanami High School, the cleanup, and of course the brick display that we have out at the pier. Those are all ongoing REACH events, and now that we've been able to engage an executive director in the past year, that the scope of activity can increase further to newer events as long as we've got the funds to support those. So those are all reasons why we're proposing this admission fee this year. And again, I think it's supported by the marketplace that we live in. So that is what the overview of the beach is. Always open to new ideas, good ideas for other fun activities out at the beach. I'm sure we haven't tapped all the good ideas yet, so please, if you have any others, let me know. Can't promise that we can do it all in 2023, but it's good to have some goals. So I'd love to hear that. And as I said at the beginning, we'll return in 2 weeks and focus more on the financial underpinnings of the entire festival for you. So that's it for tonight, and I'm happy to answer whatever questions you might have.
Any questions, comments, or ideas? We'll start with Councilmember Martha Leon.
Historically, how much has it cost to host the beach festival in a year? What is the normal cost for that, or has it been?
For the past 2 years, it's sort of a two-part answer, Councilmember,
Okay.
because the original version of the beach festival was a purely city-sponsored event, much more like the 75th Street Fair coming up than its current version. And in those days, as I understand, it was about a $50,000 event of all city funds that went to pay for that event. Now, in its current iteration that was started up in 2021, so for the past 2 years, with the addition of sponsorships and commercial vendors coming in and carnival rides and a number of other revenue sources, it's bumped up to being more like a $250,000 to $300,000 event.
So you mentioned initially, I guess when REACH was, and I'm new, so bear with me, when REACH was established, that the cost was $50,000, and the last two events have moved to $250,000 and $300,000.
Right.
And so has REACH been able to foot that cost?
No, if I could back up first, the original version of the event, the $50,000 version, that took place a number of years ago. In fact, there was a hiatus of 6 or 7 years, I think, where there was no festival. So in the original version, REACH wasn't even in existence.
Okay.
At that time.
Thank you.
So REACH has only been a participant in the last 2 years.
Okay.
And the other part of your question is REACH been able to foot that cost? No, certainly not out of REACH resources or treasury. It's all dependent upon the revenue sources that are generated in the festival itself, primarily sponsors, But there are commercial vendors who pay to be there. There are carnival rides that throw off some revenue to it. Beverage sales, food sales, all those different activities
Right.
all have an income stream.
Mhm. And I think my last question, until someone else asks a question that has me to ask another one, but so you mentioned that there, you're proposing or you're sharing with us tonight that there be a cost for entry,
Correct.
and there had not been in the past. And then you spoke of the $10 that would not be used for parking, but then would go, that the adult would have to pay for entry, or $10 per adult.
Correct.
So what does the change in parking and entry, how does that work? Meaning, so why have we paid for parking and now we're not gonna have to pay for parking?
Right.
What agreement has happened that we're not gonna have to pay for parking and we can now
Well,
see that money on the other side?
yeah, it's sort of a contingent, not have to pay for parking.
Okay,
Assuming that there is an admission fee, we would not be charging for parking.
okay,
So
I'll
that's
wait to hear more. And then I hear you say there's an executive, we have a new executive director, so now I'm sure that person has to receive a salary.
Right.
So now we're looking to generate more money because we have a salary of the executive director as well.
Mhm,
Okay.
correct.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I think what my colleague is trying to get to is that what's the cost to the city? Like, so my recollection was it cost the city $50,000 to do a big event, which there's a lot of other expenses, but the bottom line, 50,000 was a loss, so to speak. And then the last 2 years, yes, it cost 250,000 or whatever those large numbers are, but the city lost, I think 20 or 12,000,
25,
25, both years, or?
yes.
Okay. And then I do recall at some point in our past, they tried to have admission fees, and I think it really fell flat and attendance went really the wrong way. So I'm a little concerned because I was not in favor of the parking fee last year, but I think it worked out very well. And then to change that to this, I think it kind of could have some unintended consequences. Like, for example, if you have free parking, people may not double up in their cars. And I know parking's a premium during Beach Festival. And so now if we're gonna, encourage them not to double up and then pay at the gate, I'm just concerned that it may have the opposite effect of what we're trying to do. So I'm just a little concerned on that. So my idea, and I'll try again, I've tried for a couple years now, but I would like to abandon the VIP booth, and I would like to see it targeted for youth and students. And one of the ideas that I discussed with Mayor Martinez was perhaps we could celebrate the success of area students. Maybe we could have a youth VIP lounge where we invite all the ASB leadership from all the local high schools to come and be a part of a program where we celebrate their involvement in their school governance. We could reach out to the elementary schools and look for a process for them to bring students forward that are doing the right thing and working hard. And I just did the reading to the class at Sunkiss Elementary, and they have a milestone reading contest. So I'm hoping that maybe between now and the next couple of weeks, we could come up with a way to honor the youth of our community, get really participation from our school districts, and really celebrate kids that are doing the right thing. And I really would love to see that in our Hueneme Beach Festival.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Hernandez.
Thank you, Mayor Martinez. Thank you, Mr. Kenny, for your presentation. When you come back in 2 weeks, I would like to see a budget for the Hueneme Beach Festivals. Is that possible that you could bring us back the dollar figures on what you expect to generate in terms of revenue and what our costs are going to be, so we can really have a visual of, why we feel we need to charge admission in this manner. I think by talking about it here tonight, the public's going to hear about this and it's going to start getting discussed out there. So it's good because we'll start hearing some feedback on whether people are going to like it or not like it. But in 2 weeks from now, then we'll have an opportunity to really look at the numbers, so that can help us better justify charging at the gate.
Right. Actually, that
yeah.
is the intent, to come back in 2 weeks to show you the budget. And because there's a component of city cost in there, it involves actually an approval on your part, so that, and this is the first time, by the way, that this is being done, at least for the current version of the festival, and I think is a big improvement. The first 2 years, it was, best guess at what things were going to cost, based on what limited experience there was, but kind of put it all together. And then after the festival was over and the financial dust cleared, there was an amount, and it turned out to be $25,000 that we approached the city to cover, so that the festival would wind up being basically a break-even festival. And that was the way we did it for the first two years. Now that we have 2 years of history of costs and potential revenues and all that, we're going to present you with a budget which we intend to be the approved formal budget for the festival. And there will be an amount for the city, but not just wait till the end and, see what it all costs kind of approach. So I hope you'll regard that as an improvement.
Thank you for that. I'm really curious to see if the numbers work out, because if we charged $10 for parking, how did that get spent? And because in effect, we're still charging $10 somewhere. So the only difference is the $5 that we'll gain through charging the youth, kids at 6 to 12, veterans and seniors. So that would be the only difference I would realize or that I anticipate in revenue. So that's why I'm asking for the numbers.
Sure, and we'll have all those, but quick preview for you tonight is that last year's parking revenue was about $13,000. Okay, the reason that we anticipate much more than that being generated through the admission fee is that, number one, there are more than one person in a car. And number two, people found other places to park besides the parking lot over at the port, which was the place that we could control to charge for parking. So there was other people coming in as well.
So, and then I'd imagine he'd have to compensate for the people who no longer want to pay and so don't come. So the numbers that pay at the gate, we could see a reduction there.
Yep.
Okay.
That's cranked into it. Just hope it's at the right level.
Thank you.
So so when this event started, it was a public safety beach event that was put on by our police department. And it was free to the public, and it was small in size. It didn't have the grandeur, didn't have the band, didn't have the, all the different things. And it's slowly grown a little over time, but not as big as it is now, which is now on a scale the size of pretty much the fair. And when they tried paying for it before or charging a fee, it was a lot more than $10, and it was still small in nature. So that's why it failed. But, I see the positive in charging because we need REACH to generate a revenue. We need the city to generate a revenue. We want to put on other events. That's the sole purpose of REACH, is to put on events for the city. We pay for a lot of it or a portion of it, and they don't have a steady income, and this would generate quite a bit, actually. You're looking at, what was the parking fee, you said, the parking revenue?
13,000.
So 13,000 versus
Right.
charging, we get about 20,000 people on a low amount to our beach festival every year for both weekends. That's what the estimates have been that I've seen in the past couple of years. So we're looking at quite a bit. And I don't think people would find that an issue, really. They pay for the Strawberry Festival. They pay for the fair. They pay for every festival that happens in this county has a fee to it, and it's not as cheap as $10. I know that for a fact. So, but yes, thank you for your presentation.
Would it be possible to get with the organizers who charged admission? I think it was 1 year where they charged admission, and maybe get that data and include it in your presentation? Because I don't believe anybody on the current planning team was a part of the prior beach festivals. So I would like to
You're correct.
to get some factual information, like just so that we could learn, like, okay, what happened and what was the fee? If I remember correctly, I think it was just a couple dollars. I don't know if it was 10. I just don't know. So it would be nice to
I'll
have
do
that
my-
data to examine.
I'll do my best to uncover that, yeah.
Okay, thank you for the presentation, Mr. Kinney. I do have two comments. Well, one question and a comment. I do support the the VIP booth for the youth. I think that's a really good idea by Councilmember Gama, just going out and seeing who are the VIP students here in our local community. I think that's a really good idea. We can get athletes, the poets, the scholars, the artists. I'm sure we can get super creative and make a VIP booth for the youth. My question is, have we talked to the port for parking space?
That it's always an ongoing discussion with them. We always broach the topic early in the year, and then it goes through several iterations. It's always a bit of an unknown. They make their best efforts to make sure the lot's available for us, and we do a lot of crossing our fingers in that regard, and it's worked out, for the last 2 years. They're trying to be as supportive as they can. I guess their first responsibility is to their shipping customers. If a ship comes in at inopportune time for us, then we have to scramble, but we've coped with that for the last couple of years.
Thank you, Mr. Kinney.
All right, thank you all.
All right, thank you for your presentation. All right, we will now move on to the consent calendar. We will consider items on the consent calendar, which will be enacted in one motion unless a council member has a request to remove an item for discussion. Does anybody want to remove an item for discussion?
Yeah, Mayor Martinez, I'd like to pull number 7 for discussion.
And Mayor Martinez, I have a general question, perhaps our interim city manager may be able to answer.
For which item?
Disbursements.
Okay. What item is that? Oh, number 4? Okay. And then I would like to pull item number 6. So maybe we can approve everything except for 4, 6, and 7. Making a motion?
Move to approve?
I'll second.
Sorry, I'll second.
All in favor? All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Question on item number 4, register of disbursements.
Yes, and I've asked this before, and I may just not understand, but I noticed when you look through the disbursements, there's several that have the identical amount paid 2 and 3 times to the same person. So my question is two-part: is that entity or person getting paid twice, or in one case it's 3 times? And is it a system error, or what is it? Because it says when the invoice numbers are the same. And so I just went through real quickly, and there's a number of them in here. So why is that?
Okay, unfortunately, I don't have the answer for that. However, we do have our finance manager here, Ashley Shapiro, and she should be able to possibly shed some light on that for us here.
Okay.
Ashley?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
Sure, no problem. So in answer to your question, if you could point out a specific example, I could explain that specific one. But in general, if it is repeated under the vendor name section, and if the description and invoice numbers are the same, it's possible the account number is different. And if that is the case, that is because that specific invoice is being split by different funding sources. Maybe certain restricted funds are paying for a portion of it and general fund is paying for a portion of it. But if you'd like to go through specific examples, I can do that with you.
Yeah, on page, I don't have my glasses tonight, I apologize, but there's, Reach is listed twice for two payments of, well, I don't know if it's two, well, perhaps it is, but there's two payments of 3,000 each, so there, that's one example. Then there's a smaller one with Stay Green. There's another one with Data Pros Inc. That one is it's interesting because that one is like 1126.82. Then the next one is 1126.83. Then the next one is 1126.83. So it almost matches three times. By 1 penny it's off. But
And if I may on that real quick, jumping in. So if you look at the invoice number column, for instance, you mentioned the ones for Reach. We actually have two different invoices on there. And so while they may be the same amount that was paid out, they were two different invoices that we received from Reach. So that's why it looks like we've got two payments there. And that would be, it looks like some of the other ones that you mentioned too are the same situation where it's just that we do get the invoices that come in at different times and then the checks are all run at certain days in the month. And so that's why we may have two payments for the same entity that look very similar.
so one check, two invoices. And
Two invoices and two checks, for instance, yes.
Okay, so they are given two checks as it's stated here because it's the disbursement register.
Correct. And Ashley, you can clarify that.
Yes, sure. So starting with the Data Pros example, you'll see the description is the same. They're all for January 2023 services, but the account number is different. And you see Fund 441, 444, and 447 listed. That is because that is an expense that is shared by the three utilities. That is the water fund, wastewater, and solid waste funds. So they're split evenly between the three. That is all one invoice paid with one check, but it is listed three times so that you can see the split between each fund. For the Reach example, those are two different invoice numbers for two different service dates. I have one dated February and one dated August, so one was a delayed payment. For the Stay Green example, those are two invoices, which is why you see a December landscape services and then February with the same GL account, but different invoice number. So they're two different months being paid. Sometimes invoices do come in a little delayed, and that's when you'll see multiple being paid with one check.
And on top of that, for that one, because we've got so many different ones, it's also compounded by the fact that you have different funds that are also paying for that again.
Yes, thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Ashley.
You got it. Thank you.
Can we make do we make a motion to approve that or do we, yeah? Item number 4? Yeah. Yeah, that was number 4.
Move to approve number 4.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously.
Okay, so I just want to mention that we have approved item number 4, 5, and 8.
Can I just interrupt for a moment? I put in a speaker card for number 8. I just wanted to thank I guess I'll go to the microphone. I wanted to thank the city of Port Hueneme for your partnership with First Robotics. And we had a fabulous event this last weekend. We had almost 2,000 people there, students from all over the world. We had Mexico, the Netherlands, 2 teams from Mexico, the Netherlands, Hawaii. I consider that because they have to come over the ocean, just so you know.
if they have to ship their robot there from out of all over the world. This next weekend, we have another event. We have Chinese Taipei, we have the Netherlands, we have several teams from Hawaii and Mexico again coming to your venue, which is awesome. And our partnership with Fathom Works and the port is just fabulous. And the Navy chips in, and you guys chip in with your benefit fund, which we really appreciate. But if you didn't ever get a chance last year or this year to come out and see it, please come out this weekend, because when you go in the pits and you're there with high schoolers that only had since January 7th to build a robot to do certain things, and they're competing to go to World Championships in Houston, Texas in April, where they will be competing with many, many more international teams. It's amazing. You feel really energized with the brain power that it takes place there. But I just want to thank you very much. And I just want to tell you a little something, that the reason that I came forward is the parking at the port is a real problem. And so if you're depending on the port parking for your festival, they actually lease out that one parking lot that they used to use, and that's why we couldn't use it for these events. So I just wanted to give you that little heads up. But I do thank you so much, and I thank you for being there. And try to remember this weekend, Friday is practice day. The event is Saturday and Sunday from 8 in the morning until 5:30 in the evening, and you'll be amazed. And there's never a cover charge. Even at World Championships, First does not charge for people to come in and see the fabulous things that our young people are doing. But thank you so much for your partnership. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. All right, and the reason I asked to pull item number 6 is because I'd like to withdraw my appointment for a further date. But that's the only reason. So as long as we can just scratch out my appointment. I spoke to Josue Mendez, and he just recently got a new job, which is good, but he just has a lot on his plate. So I'd like to reappoint someone else on a further date. So that's about it on number 6.
So we want to move to approve item number 6, but removing Mayor Martinez's appointment.
Yes. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Okay, now we're gonna move on to item number 7, ratification of side letter to memorandum of agreement between the City of the Port Hueneme and Service Employees International Union Local 721. You had some questions? Or?
Yeah, Mayor Martinez, I really just pulled it. I had some questions earlier that have been answered for me, but thought it was important enough not to approve it in the consent calendar. So just wanted to pull it and have its own motion.
Okay.
Thank you. I move that we approve number 7 of our consent calendar.
I'll second.
Are there any comments?
I'm curious as to know what the idea behind doing that is.
Because I have questions.
Oh, but you don't have them anymore?
Yeah, I have conversations. They've been answered. Okay, but because it is a MOA for our and SEIU, I did not just want to approve it.
Okay, thank you.
If I may, I echo Council Member McQueen LaJohn's. The consent calendar is supposed to be for routine items, and I don't think MOU with the SEIU is routine, and I think it should stand on its own in the future. That's my belief.
Okay. All right, let's take a roll call vote.
Councilmember McQueen LaJean?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Perez?
Yes.
Councilmember Gama?
Yes.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Yes.
And Mayor Martinez?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. We're now going to move on to business items, seeing as we don't have any public hearings. There are no public hearings tonight. So the first business item is number 9, amendment to fiscal year 2022-2023 operating budget to account for operational cost and project revenues associated with Learn to Swim and Ocean lifeguard programs. Will staff please present the report?
See that Jason Johnson is online, and Jason's going to be making the presentation on this item. Jason, can you confirm that you're connected and you can hear us? Jason, we'll try one more time. I do see that you're connected via Zoom. Can you attempt to unmute and just confirm that you are online and ready to give the presentation?
Barely hear him.
Can you all hear me okay?
We can, yes.
Okay. Can I have my first slide, please? So good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, City staff, and members of the community. On behalf of Community Services and Recreation, staff is recommending an amendment to fiscal year 2022 to fiscal year 2023 operational costs and projected revenues on behalf of associated with the Learn to Swim and Ocean Lifeguard program. As a United States Lifeguard Association accredited with Ocean Lifeguard program, our most recent statistics are as follows. Last summer, we had 71 rescues, 3,569 safety contacts. We responded to 28 medical emergencies. We helped reunite one lost child with family and assisted PD on multiple situations and occurrences. Our lifeguards also assisted local wildlife workers to come to the aid of a number of injured birds and sea lions. Additionally, our junior lifeguard program over the course of the summer had a total participations of 220 participants. Sorry, I'm having some issues here. Excuse me, bear with me. So additionally, our junior lifeguard program over the course of the summer had 220 total participants. Each month-long session taught participants ocean safety, rescue techniques, ocean ecology, physical fitness, teamwork, and how to safely enjoy the beach environment. Notable events this past summer included a Coast Guard helicopter demonstration with a boat trip to Channel Islands, a day kayaking on the Channel Islands Harbor, a weekly newsletter, and multiple competitions. As it results our lifeguard program has a long history in our city dating back to the early 80s and is a source of pride for our community. However, we have had some issues in lifeguarding nationally. In the past few years, there's been a national-wide lifeguard shortage, which resulted in a closure of 33% of public pools. This was felt also locally by both pool operators and local ocean lifeguard agencies across the state, as they all struggled with staffing. Specifically, Ventura County, who oversees lifeguard services at Silver Strand and Hollywood Beach, reduced staffing of Hollywood Beach and were unable to conduct their long-standing junior lifeguard program. To address these staffing issues, ocean lifeguard and pool swimming staff agencies across the state have increased their salaries for the position of lifeguards across the board. So as you can see from this slide, the national shortage of 33%. Our local closest local comparisons in terms of compensation are Ventura State, which is upped its wages to $19.24 an hour. Carpinteria, which has changed its entry-level salary to $22.10 per hour. Ventura County, which operates our closest competing beaches, have updated their wages to $23.54, and LA County, which has increased its compensation for the entry-level ocean lifeguard to $24 an hour.
Jason, if we could just pause here for a moment. We had a little bit of an issue showing the wrong slide initially, but we backed up, and I just wanted to give the council a moment to look on this slide. This is one of the bases of one of the requests that you're presenting tonight to amend the salary ranges for the ocean lifeguards. And at the bottom of the slide, we show our 4 closest competitors and the entry starting salary of the ranges for those competitors. And it should also be noted that currently, if no action is taken, the beginning range for our ocean lifeguards is $15.75. So where we are right now is significantly below the 4 closest geographical competitors that we have, which is the primary basis that staff is making the recommendation for an amendment to the salary ranges in the ocean lifeguard program. Sorry to interrupt, Jason, but
no, thank you.
Please
so basically, yes, without any steps, the issue that we're facing is, in spite of the fact that we have established ourselves as a premier employment opportunity as an ocean lifeguard, we are well recognized throughout the county, and we do have and have retained very highly qualified candidates. So the reality is that a failure to kind of get into alignment with other competitors would potentially cause some issues with staffing for our summer season.
Are you ready for a motion?
Could I go next slide, please? So what we're recommending is that we increase our current wage for our ocean lifeguard and junior lifeguard instructor to a 10-step process of starting at $19 an hour and ranging 10 steps with 3% between each step, all the way up to $24.79 per hour. For our assistant lead lifeguards, we're asking to increase the bottom end to $21 an hour, and then ranging over 10 steps up to $27.40. Again, that would be 3% between each step. And for our senior lifeguard and junior lifeguard coordinator to increase it to entry level at $23 over a range of 10 steps, ending at $30.01. The impact of this would cost approximately $13,320 for the remainder of this fiscal year, and approximately $43,200 on an annual basis. Could I have the next slide, please? But one of the programs that I've been very proud to be a part of, and that is directly related to the council's discretion, was getting a Learn to Swim program off the ground. At this point, our Learn to Swim program has been a wild success on a lot of levels. We've taught 4 separate month-long sessions since inception, which was in the fall of 2022. Have the next slide, please. Our most recent session was the fall/winter of this last year, 2022, and we had close to full enrollment. So we had Monday, Wednesday classes and Tuesday and Thursday classes in the evenings. Thus far to date, we've had 252 individual students taught. That being said, this program is also in the same kind of space as wages have increased across the board. We are asking for a couple of things here. We want the salary ranges to be increased on this, and again, the current wages, we had them at $15.50 an hour, and minimum wages come up. So we're asking for our aide position to be brought in at $16. And again, there's a 10-step process across the board with 3% between each step. Our pool lifeguards, we were asking for $17.50 and across 10 steps with 3% between each step to a max of $22.83. And our water safety instructors who do the bulk of the instruction, they have additional training in all the different aspects of how to teach swimming lessons. We're asking that they come in at $19.78 and across 10 steps with 3% between each step, come up to $25.85. And finally, what we did identify as we were getting this program off the ground is that there does need to be a pool supervisor position, which is the industry standard. And for the majority, or for all these classes and sessions, I've been flexing and working in that capacity, and as I oversaw the creation of a new offering to the public. So we are asking for that position to be created, and we've worked with HR to provide a job description for that. What we found in the inception of this program and getting it off the ground is that there's a absolute need for it locally. There hadn't been a Learn to Swim in Fort Wayne near Oxnard in many years. And what we're proposing is that because of the need, that we create a Learn to Swim season that we're suggesting be between April and October annually. This amendment would increase the number of community members served through this program and enhance the city's ability to retain staff needed for the program. Because when we operate for 1 or 2 months and then have to offboard the employees, that becomes very difficult to retain the high quality candidates we're looking for and have trained to be function in this capacity. Next slide, please. So in terms of the total fiscal impact for both of these recommendations, we're looking at approximately $13,000 for this fiscal year to fund the ocean lifeguard increase in terms of salary and wages. We're looking for $34,200 in terms of the Learn to Swim costs. To offset the Learn to Swim costs, we're expecting, based on all our projections, that to receive about $24,190 in anticipated revenue to offset that $34,200 in the cost. And that's based on conservative program participation estimates. And once all the staff is onboarded as far as the Learn to Swim program, this program should pay for itself, including the additional cost of the part-time pool supervisor. Next slide. And I'll open the floor to any questions regarding this proposal.
All right. Does council have any questions for staff?
Thank you, Jason, for your presentation. And I don't have any questions as it relates to trying to get a better clarification of the information you provided, but did want to know what percentage of your positions that you require are currently staffed? So how many positions, or what's the percentage of the positions are not currently staffed?
So due to recent changes in insure or basically retirement contributions, we after our November class we offboarded all of our employees. So at this point, we are waiting for council to direct us and provide additional funding to continue and re-onboard the instructors who were such a vital part of this program being successful, start and get back to work with the collaboration with the Oxnard Union High School District and start up the classes again. And we're hoping for as soon as April with some help from Human Resources.
Thank you. One more question. How does you said that each of the bands, I say pay bands, have 10 steps included. How might someone move through those 10 steps?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, you said that the pay bands, sorry for using my own language, but the proposed ranges are made
Yes.
up of 10 steps. How might one move through those 10 steps?
Oh, so so at the bottom step, it's your initial hire based on experience. So for say your WSI aide or your water safety instructor aide, that's the entry. That's the bottom step for that position. There's less training required, so it's less responsibility. So you'd come into that bottom step. So the next session or next year, we would go ahead and move those people through based on their length of service. Typically, if we follow the model that we use lifeguarding, each session you reapply for coming back, then you get a bump into that step annually.
Great, thank you.
Jason, thank you so much for taking on this program. I remember how challenging it was to get going, and I think you've done a wonderful job. And I remember hearing that the shortage affected many of our surrounding areas, but that your commitment and we didn't have any burning problems from the shortage of lifeguards. I think this program needs to expand. And I really want to reach out and thank the Oxnard Union High School District, specifically Hueneme High School, for being there, partnering with us. And I'm all in for whatever you need to continue to grow and meet the need of our community and to learn kids to swim. I think it's vitally important in our area. And so just want to thank you for doing all that you do.
I have no questions.
Okay. Are there any public comments regarding this item?
No public comments.
Okay, the recommendation is to approve an adjustment in the city's comprehensive salary schedule to amend salary ranges for all positions within the Ocean Lifeguard, Junior Lifeguard, and Learn to Swim programs, and add the classification and associated salary range for pool supervisor, and approve an amendment to the 2022-2023 operating budget to appropriate $47,520 to the budget account number 0014186622 10-02 and increase anticipated revenue by $24,190. May I have a motion and a second?
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, is there any discussion you guys would like to take part in? Okay, Madam Clerk, can we please take a vote?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously.
Okay, we're gonna move on to our next business item, Bubbling Springs concessions cost abandonment. Will staff please present the report?
Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem Council, staff, and members of the public. Item 11 on the agenda reviews the feasibility of purchasing a pre-owned mobile food facility and provides a recommended cost abatement measure for the Port Hueneme Little League as an alternative solution. Ensuring the vessel is fully California Retail Food Code compliant prior to purchase is a reservation for staff. The Ventura County Environmental Health Division Plan Check Guide was last revised in 2017, and although subsequent revisions to the CRFC exist, no mobile food facility manufactured prior to 2017 should be considered for purchase as a starting point to mitigate unforeseen retrofitting costs. Additionally, the category of mobile food facility is required to support the specific menu of the Port Hueneme Little League is Type 4, which requires more complex regulations compared to lesser food service configurations. A cursory search of mobile food facilities for sale ranges from $25,000 to $82,500, absent any food preparation equipment costs. A true cost projection is difficult to define until on-site reviews are coordinated amongst recreation facilities and fleet maintenance staff. The Orvine S. Carpenter Community Center will not meet the requirements of the commissary without undergoing significant modifications, namely the installation of a grease interceptor. An ongoing monthly commissary cost of $800 to $1,000 would also need to be included in any total cost allocation. As a contextual attachment to the staff report, staff has included the regulatory materials the city is bound to comply with for your review. In general, a pre-owned mobile food facility includes an inherent level of exposure to potential unidentified costs. That, combined with the monthly commissary costs and limited time frame of allowable use, staff does not recommend proceeding with the purchase of a pre-owned mobile food facility. Staff does make the recommendation that the city absorb the 2023 season cost of infield mix replenishment as a matter of ongoing field maintenance, as well as offering the council the opportunity to reduce the Port Hueneme Little League lease agreement fee for 2023. The infield mix price point this year was $6,637.09. The annual lease agreement payment is in the amount of $3,750. Retaining a transactional fee is recommended. However, a significant reduction can be defined by council direction. Externally sourced food trucks will be on site for the 2023 season under the approved special use permit filed by the Port Hueneme Little League this past month. The Port Hueneme Little League president is in support of these staff recommendations. I can answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Okay. Are there any questions?
Actually, I do have a question. If I could, Mr. Mayor? Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Hanley, for your presentation and for working with Ms. Bolo and Port Hueneme Little League and finding a solution to this real difficult problem. I was wondering, just for my own personal reasons, is how does the appropriation compare to what the Little League would be bringing in had they had a full operating snack bar?
Sure. I believe Ms. Bolo spoke at the last meeting in regards to what the potential income would have been on a regular Saturday in some type of range of $1,000 to $1,300, but she could speak to that specifically. We did have documentation that also supplied previously when we were reviewing these costs in association with the development of the sports plaza. And I believe the annual revenue that was provided by the league was in the range of somewhere around just under $12,000 annually.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hanley, for your presentation. And I have a comment, and it's already been working on, so it's just for the record mainly. It's already discussion that I've been having, and I believe staff will probably be coming back with it, but I don't know why this hasn't been thought of before. And my recommendation was, why not allow the Little League to, if it requires a special use permit for their season, bring their own barbecuers and barbecue their own food and sell, and not have to deal with us having to find a way to come up with a snack bar idea. I think it's the more simplest way to do so, and I believe it wasn't done before because Anna was not aware or aware of what the rules would be to do so. So something that I would like staff to look into and let us know how difficult that would be to approve, and allow that instead of this costly idea of a mobile food truck.
If I may, my understanding is that the temporary food booth setting is the platform in which a entity could provide barbecue service and food production. It's still regulated by the Environmental Health Division. And so we, in our talks with EDH, we're under the impression that you would still need to have the full booth structure in order to facilitate the barbecue method. So if we go back to what the projection was for that, it was around $25,000. But the
So-
logistical component was the prohibiting factor.
We have barbecue pits or barbecuers at the beach that people are allowed to use, do we not? So that's the issue, is the fact that they're
If it's for
selling
profit.
and it turns into a commercial enterprise and it requires all this other.
It's heavily regulated.
Okay. Are there any public comments regarding this item? Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and city staff. Just in that regards, I have tried every which way to try to get around any possible situation that we can, and the county literally told me, we cannot, as an organization, give food away. We can't. So I thank you, everybody who has been texting me and, providing all these ideas. I have literally tried every single way to try to get around it, and we just can't. As an organization, in order to be in compliance with the county, we just can't get away from the 3 sinks, all the little stuff, that big stuff that we need. So from our perspective, I think, like Mr. Perez had said, at this point, with the limited amount of time that we have to be able to serve, we already started our season. We had opening ceremonies, which were amazing. But at this point, I think it's in the value of the bigger picture for the city staff to just concentrate on the other stuff. We will do our best to try to raise funds to get us through, and we will get through the next season. Of that, I have no doubts. We will find a way, even if it's asking you guys for Miranda Park to play at, we'll figure it out. But I think at this point, it's just better of staff used to just concentrate on the big project. Thank you.
So then I just want to thank staff for the hard work and trying to come up with suggestions and figuring a way around this.
Absolutely.
And if I could, I just want to make anyways, it's extremely frustrating because I took this photo just last night on the corner of Perkins and Wainimi Road. There's a full-on, unlicensed, illegal food operation that's being highly successful. I mean, the line was 30 deep. And, it's frustrating when we try to play by the rules. Clearly we have to, right? That's what we teach in Little League. But, so there's people doing all the things that we're told that we can't do, and they're not being, they're being left alone. So it's frustrating, and I share your frustration, and whatever we could do to help.
And I will have to say, I do have parents that are willing to just come out there and barbecue, and I think that's gonna alleviate some of the burden of families spending so much on these food trucks, because we had 2 food trucks out this weekend that offered their 10%. And again, 10% on $1,000 it's $100 and I'm paying 2 umpires for it. So that money is gone within a blink of an eye. But we are telling them, come out here and barbecue. So if you guys see people out there barbecuing, you know, that's because we're definitely pushing for that option. It's just kind of hard to do on a weekend when on a weekday when everybody's getting off of work. But on Saturdays, we're definitely planning to take advantage of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And just to be clear, that doesn't mean you're generating revenue because a family comes out and brings their barbecue and cooks hot dogs for their family, right?
Absolutely not.
Okay, we
Yeah.
just want to make sure that anyone listening that
yes.
that is not what we're.
This is just parents feeding their individual kids. Yeah. Correct. Thanks.
Okay, so the recommendation was for the city council to discuss Bubbling Springs concessions and propose cost abatement and take such action as it deems appropriate. May I have a motion in a second? Is there anything that?
I don't think we're taking any.
Well, we need a motion to approve the staff recommendation, I believe.
We need council direction as far as determining the exact reduction in the lease agreement cost. Staff recommendation is to retain a transactional fee, so that could be anything that you decide monetarily, but we do need you to identify the numeric amount for the reduction in the lease agreement.
Mayor, I do have a couple of questions, if I can.
Okay, yes.
Yes. So I heard the number 12,000, and then I heard 25,000. I'm interested in knowing 2023, what is the revenue or what is the expected revenue in 2023?
I would have to ask the league to speak to that.
The amounts that had been given of $12,000, that was based on our 2019 season. The fundraising, that was money from the snack bar. It is really hard to determine prices right now because of the cost of inflation and the fact that we haven't had a snack bar since 2019. So if I expect the numbers, I mean, I would try to fall into that same category. And those were figures accounting for our tournament fundraising as well. So it wasn't just a regular season. It was for our main 2 tournaments that we have during the summer in August, July and August.
And including the playoffs, which came to about 15,880, I think is what you had outlined.
Okay, yes.
So I have a question, Mr. Mayor? Yeah. Okay, so I see here that Port Hueneme Little League pays $3,750 in for the exclusive use of the baseball fields at Bubbling Springs. And so it's council's discretion to decide whether or not we want to continue to ask for those fees or ask for something less than that.
Absolutely. Staff is making the recommendation that there be a significant reduction in the cost of the lease agreement, but that would be at your discretion.
Okay, so my question then would be for the, I guess, city manager or maybe the finance folks, is if we eliminate that fee entirely, what's the hardship or the impact to the city?
Again, it would be
Well,
the 30.
I'm really looking at it in terms of what services are provided for those fees, and does that eliminate the services?
Not that I'm aware of, and Anna may be able to correct me on that. But this really is more for, I believe, staffing and just the use of the fields themselves, the exclusive use.
And would this be something permanent or something temporary until the facilities would be constructed and operating?
Staff is only making the recommendation for the 2023 calendar year.
Okay, so I would recommend that we just eliminate the fees entirely.
I'll second that.
Are there any other motions?
Point of clarification, there's several fees here. So the first one is there's $6,637.09 for infield dirt replenishment. There's also an additional $3,750 for exclusive use. I believe the recommendation was eliminate the $6,637.09. Was that correct?
The recommendation is that the city absorb that cost directly so that we will pay for the dirt, the infield mix directly.
Okay.
And then retaining our transactional fee for the lease agreement for the league to have exclusive ongoing use of the fields in Bubbling Springs Park, could be something that of a $1 fee in order for the transaction to remain in place, therefore reducing the cost to $3,749,000.
And traditionally, from a legal perspective, a nominal consideration fee is usually something like $1.
Okay, so I'll do a second motion.
Or just amend?
Amend?
Amend my motion to appropriate the $6,637.09 for the infield dirt replenishment in the account stated in the report, and reduce the revenue by amount not to exceed $1.
I second.
Are there any other motions?
Just to be clear, Councilmember Hernandez is speaking of the lease amount, not revenue, right?
Right, it's the exclusive use for the baseball fields is going to be $1 in consideration.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay, Madam Clerk, can we please take a vote?
Okay, I'm just going to confirm. Councilmember Hernandez first, Mayor Pro Tem Perez second.
And then just real quick, does anybody want to entertain discussion for the vote? Okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Anna.
All right, we're gonna move on to business item number 11. 2022 Annual General Plan and Housing Progress Report, presented by Tony Stewart, Interim City Manager / Community Development Director.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. And again, good evening to everybody. Yes, I'm presenting this wearing both hats. When it was originally written, that was just the one. But this is an annual report. The four of you have already seen this several times. This is a requirement by the state that we present, at least on the housing element of our general plan, on an annual basis, required for State SB 35 and Assembly Bill 879. We must report to the state's Housing and Community Development, or HCD, and OPR by April 1st of each year. And although charter cities such as ours only have to report on the housing element and the successor agencies' activities for the past year, we do report on the entire general plan just for transparency. So basically, we, as most of you will recall, back on October of 21, we adopted a brand new general plan, including basically a draft housing element, so to speak. The housing element was immediately sent up to HCD for comments. They took exactly 1 year, and then back on October 4th of 2022, you all adopted the housing element with the changes that were required by HCD. And then I sent it up that day, basically, or the next day, and the very next day, HCD certified our housing element. Actually, it made us the third housing element to be approved and certified in Ventura County, behind the county and the city of Oxnard. And from what I understand, we're still in that same situation. The rest of the county cities in the county are still struggling with HCD. But again, very happy that we've got our housing element in place. In fact, one of the ways that we're already moving forward is the ADU ordinance you just updated last month. Is one of the requirements that HCD has of us. So just as a reminder, HCD through SCAG, the Southern California Association of Governments, requires each city in the state to have a certain regional housing needs allotment, or RHNA. Ours in the last, and they're in 8-year cycles. Ours in the last 8-year cycle was a total of 2. This year, we're up to 125 that we have to find room for. And that's broken down to 21 extremely low or very low income units, 16 low income, 18 moderate income, and 65 above moderate. And the income levels are created basically through HUD, the federal agency, and then divided down to each county level, basically. And these units are the the income levels are based on the percentage of what they call the median income for a family of 4. And that is in the staff report what those are. Each year they do change. Now, with regard to changes from last year, because we do have a new housing element in place, we did have to report on certain programs and how they're being met. But in summary, we are already well underway with meeting our RENA requirements. We have 5 ADUs that were permitted, and ADUs do count towards meeting RENA requirements. They are counted as individual units. Of those, we had 2 already completed and 7 others that were in the process prior to 2022. So we've got a total of 9 ADUs that have been completed, and 5 Habitat for Humanity townhomes were also completed. These are all low income, which means that we now have 14 of our 16 low income units already met. And we don't have to, the cycle basically will run for the next 7 years, so we still have quite some time. And we're not mandated to actually see those be built, but we at least need to try our best to get them built and zone accordingly. So, and that's something that we've done through the general plan. And hopefully later this year or early next, we'll talk about actually some rezonings as well per the general plan that's already been adopted. We also have to report on the successor agency. So we do that every year. And Appendix A of the staff report talks about the agency's expenditures over the past year. Every year, basically, it's pretty much the same. It just gets adjusted a little bit here and there. We are basically drawing down, and at some point, the agency will cease to exist. Last year was an anomaly because we did sell that property to Habitat for Humanity, so we did have to report on that. But this year, we haven't had any additional property sales, so the numbers that I'm showing you here are basically more or less just, again, adjustments that were done on an annual basis. So, for instance, we spent $119,000 of our housing asset fund on administrative costs. Our cap is to spend $221,500 or so, so we are under that threshold. We do have an asset fund balance of nearly $5 million, and about $4.2 million of that is cash. And that includes equity and assets that we still own. And then we cannot have an excessive surplus, and the report that was provided in the staff report shows that we do not have an excessive surplus, so we're in good standing with the state requirements. And so with regard to that, like I said, this is pretty much an annual requirement. A lot of data, but again, it's something that is required. And as we move forward, especially with our rezoning projects coming up here, next year's report may look a little bit more interesting than this one did, because we may have some more programs to report on with the housing element and whatnot. So that does conclude my presentation. I'm available for any questions. The recommendation here is to basically receive this report and direct me to submit it up to HCD and the Office of Planning and Research, or OPR, which I would do tomorrow.
All right, does City Council have any questions? All right, Councilmember Hernandez.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Stewart, for your presentations, and congratulations on making progress on meeting our RENA numbers. And it should not go overlooked the fact that many cities throughout the state have not gotten their local housing plans, local housing elements approved. So it speaks a lot to your work and your staff's accomplishments. So thank you so much. I just had a quick question about the development on the corner of C and Ponoma. Is that an affordable housing development that's going up there?
I think C and Ponoma.
Yes. They demolished
Yeah.
a single family
Yeah.
housing, just a tiny little rickety
Right.
house, and now it's like, it looks like an apartment dwelling.
Sure.
It's pretty
So
hap-
they are definitely maximizing the site and taking advantage of every ADU requirement they can. It will be a single-family home, moderate income. When completed, we can count it towards that.
Okay.
And there will be an ADU above a garage there, and that will qualify as a low-income unit because all of our ADUs are required to be low-income units.
I see, okay. Thank you.
Turning our attention to the property at Surfside and Wainimi Road, I noticed there's a lot of activity going on there. Are they complying with city requirements, getting permits, and how is that going to impact our arena numbers if they're successful?
Well, I know Kevin is chomping at the bit here and probably has something about the compliance part, but if the project is completed and they have approximately 14 more months to do so per the 30-month requirement condition of approval that you approved back in October 2021, they will have a total of 41 units out there, and they will all be counted towards meeting our arena in some way or another, mostly either at the market rate, which is moderate. There will be an extremely low-income unit, which will be great because those are the most difficult to accommodate generally. So those would all be, if the project is completed, counted towards our arena.
Is the project being walked through the city processes appropriately?
That item still has a filed case number, so I would recommend not discussing that publicly. We will bring forth a status update. I believe it's at the next meeting or the meeting after.
I believe so, yes.
So it will be forthcoming rather quickly.
Yes.
So it's in our best interest to work with this entity as difficult as it may be to try and help them get across the finish line. Right?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, as Mr. Stewart pointed out, there's significant advantages to meeting our arena numbers and in making sure that our plan development permit process is followed.
Right, but the issue for us council members is it happens to me at least a couple times a month. What is going on there? And it's very difficult for me to answer the question, as it is for all of us. And so, is there perhaps a uniform statement that we can communicate to people who ask? Because I really don't know what to tell people when they say, what is going on?
I would say that I think a general statement that without divulging too much is that all parties are working towards completing the project pursuant to the plan development permit. There is regular communication with each side, and all parties are pursuing compliance.
Okay. Are there any public comments regarding this item?
No public comments.
Okay. The recommendation is to receive the information provided by staff and any public comment made on the item and direct staff to submit the annual report to the California Department of Housing and Community Development and the Governor's Office of Planning and Research. May I have a motion and a second?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, are there any other motions? All right, discussion. Madam Clerk, can we please take a vote?
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
Okay, we're gonna move on to city manager comments and reports. At this time, we will hear comments and reports from our interim city manager.
Thank you again, Mayor, and actually, being only my second week on the job here, but it's a pleasure to be up here. I do have a few updates I managed to get from some of our staff members. So from Chief Albertson, he tells me we've got 2 new staff members coming on. We have a new police officer, Andrew Canino. He starts on March 20th, and he's a lateral from the LA County Sheriff's Office. We also have a new police officer trainee, Christopher Tario. Starts on March 23rd. He is coming as a custody deputy from Santa Barbara County Sheriff's. and we'll start the academy in April of this year. From Public Works, they want you to know that the dredging project is finally complete, and the promenade should be officially opened tomorrow. And they're also doing some pothole repairs on Wainini Road, so just beware that there may be some traffic control out there while they fill those potholes. For my department, and as well as Public Works and Finance, again, it's one of those where we share the invoicing and whatnot amongst the three of us. But the OpenGov permitting system is hopefully coming online on March 14th, and that will be a whole new process for submitting for building permits, planning applications, business licensing, and certain Public Works applications such as encroachment permits. So we're very excited about that coming on because it'll have quite a user-friendly interface to it where folks can easily, from the comfort of their home or office, submit for applications as opposed to coming in here with multiple sets of plans, et cetera. And then per Lupe, Tyler is well underway as well. The implementation that should also be coming online, at least the first phase, in a couple more months here. So they're working very hard to get everything squared away. And so we're also very excited about that. And also for Lupe, and for your heads up, it is now time for our next 2-year budget already. And so we are kicking that off this Friday for staff, and it's going to be a very aggressive calendar. And she is hoping to get it in front of you for action the first meeting in June, so we can meet that end of this fiscal year deadline. So again, very, very active on that for everybody. And then finally, just kind of a housekeeping thing is that we're about to tear up next week our break room here. So we're going to try to minimize meetings in the large conference room, but if you happen to see a few kitchen items and whatnot out, it's because staff is using the large conference room and that little kitchen for the time being. And then hopefully by the end of the month, we've got a brand new break room for everybody. So that's everything I had for you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Stewart. Council members, reports and comments.
We have questions? Can we ask him questions?
You may ask him a question.
A question? I think
Just-
Mr. Gama had his
just
hand up
kidding.
for.
Yeah, I was just going to make a comment. Perhaps we could get that police information to the gentleman that made that public comment earlier. I'm sure he'll be impressed with that quick hire. you make a public comment, and we have great news on that front. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Stewart, for your report. I wanted to ask if where we are with the Community Benefit Fund in terms of, well, specifically, I'm inquiring about the Audubon Society allocation of $1,000 for their cameras. Can you get back to me and let me know where that is?
Sure.
They asked about it a while back, and I'd like to see, it's only $1,000, so I can't imagine that would be too difficult to process.
Right. So I'll check in on the status of that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there an update, or does something have to come back later, staff, on the beach playground for the public comment that was mentioned earlier?
Now, actually, Gabby had asked me to put that on my list here, and I said, not yet. Right now, it's in the hands of the Coastal Commission, so I'm waiting to hear back from them. And then once we hear back from them, I can give you a better detailed discussion on how we're going to move forward with that. It's been basically through plan check and whatnot, but we do need to get it now through Coastal Commission, get them to bless it, or let us know how they want us to process it through them if we need to. And then once we get the blessing for all that, then we can move forward with construction.
All right, any other questions? All right, we're gonna move on to council member reports and comments. We'll start off with Councilmember McQueen Lejean.
Thank you, Mayor Martinez. Just want to report on my appointments. Let's see, the Air Pollution Board, I attended my first meeting a couple of weeks ago. Will be attending a new members orientation on the 15th, so looking forward to that. The Gold Coast Transit, I attended my first meeting and will be participating in the Commission's strategic planning workshop on April the 5th. For the Regional Defense Partnership for the 21st Century, that's RDP 21. Thank you again for approving my out-of-state travel for that. We'll be traveling the 19th of March, meeting in DC with representatives on the 20th, 21st, 22nd, and I'll be returning on the 23rd. So we'll be participating in the council meeting from DC. So already working on the planning for that with our city clerk. So looking forward to that. And then participated in the strategic planning session for the Ventura Transportation Commission on Friday. I believe we met the goals of VCTC. So I'm sure they're moving forward with the next steps. So they held the meeting at the Agricultural Museum in Santa Paula, which is a wonderful, wonderful place to go. If you have children, you should take them there. They're open on Thursday through Sunday, 11 to 5. They also have a new program they just opened up on Friday with bike rails, where you can actually get on a bike and pedal on the actual rails, 17 miles to Fillmore, turn around and come back, take a stop at like a farmer's market of some sort and do some animal petting. But already plan to do that. Looks like it's pretty fun. And so check it out. Check it out. It's going to be fun, I think. And then got a chance to attend with our mayor the robotics competition at FathomWorks there at the port. If you didn't get to do it this weekend, you really want to go next weekend. It was pretty amazing. I got a tour from a young man who was part of one of the teams, and took me around, had a great time, got a lot of pictures and video that I haven't been able to post just yet. I'm trying to determine if I want to post the one where I spent the wheel and I got dance to music, and so I had to dance, so we'll see. We'll see. I think I did pretty good. Well, but it was really nice, so you really should take a look at what's going on with our youth. Working at Point Mugu for 33 years, I'd always heard of FathomWorks, but I never knew where it was at and what was going on there. And it was pretty amazing. Like was shared with us earlier, they had a group from the Netherlands, from Mexico, from another country, and then they had a couple from Arizona, and then quite a few from California. But it was just amazing what the young folks are doing, and that you all have said it, we need to continue to support them because they're not only the future, but they're the present. So we need to make sure we continue to support them. Thank you.
I love that. Not only the future, but the present. And I was fortunate enough to have some Yara T-shirts to give away, and so I went to the moment they opened and the teams were setting up, and I was able to walk around and talk, and I was looking for a local school, and I found Newbury Park High School, and I said, hey, do you guys want this hoodie and T-shirt? And then they did rock, scissors, paper, and they determined who won the shirts, and the excitement. It's like I've never been to NASCAR, but I imagine this is what NASCAR is like when you walk through the pit row, because the kids, and you can see the level of expertise, and you can see the willingness of the more experienced teams to help the unexperienced teams, and it's so contagious walking around there. Everybody's just focused, and then again learning how quickly they have to put these robots together, like in less than a month, and then have them out there competing. It's really exciting. I'm so happy to be able to walk through there and get that. Earlier this week, I had the distinct honor to read to a 4th grade class at Sunkist Elementary. Sunkist Elementary is a school that's literally on the border between the city of Oxnard and Hueneme, and it's kind of funny as we were talking, like, yeah, sometimes we don't know who to call. We have to look where we're at here, and so, but the 4th graders, I read the Lorax and I couched it around Wainimi Beach cleanup, and unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. And I really challenge these kids to be good community members and come out to beach cleanup, and anytime that they have any needs, come and see if the city of Port Wainimi can help them. And if I know the Take 5 is coming around, but highly recommended to read to a class. It's just so fulfilling. And the coolest thing about this, the teacher had Ricardo call me up, and Ricardo operated off a script, but he did so well, and I couldn't even tell that his teacher was standing behind him. I mean, he just did. He invited me, would you please come read to our class? Sure, what would you like me to read? Something from Dr. Seuss. I got the Lorax, and it was just fantastic. I attended my first executive committee meeting with Beacon. There was no reportable action, but I just want to reiterate that Beacon is alive and well, and looking forward to the next year of a bunch of great projects coming up and supporting our city in our efforts to sustain our beach community. Beach cleanup is doing well. Really want to thank all the volunteers this week that came out. There's probably over 60, maybe 80. We partnered up with Surfrider, Coastal Keepers, and the city of Port Wainimi, and of course Wainimi Beach Cleanup. And we had a fantastic day. I think we took 4 or 5 dumpsters full of trash, got it out of there. The encampments are coming back, and it is a problem for the city of Port Wainimi because it impacts us, the trash, the debris, and all that stuff. So we're still working on that. And I just want to mention one more time, I know I've been mentioning this since becoming on council, it's like, the city is very proud of being a Tree City USA, and I am too. But with trees and with anything, there's responsibilities, there's things that have to be done. And I know that we have our HOA coalition working hard to redesign and come up with a new tree policy, landscape policy and all that. And but we have to synchronize the rules, because the city, through Public Works, I don't know who, but there's 45 trees that were removed from Miranda Park that are still waiting to be replaced. And we hammer our residents and business owners with fines and permit things, yet the city goes and removes trees and doesn't replace them. And so people are watching, and we just need to figure out how to get us all on board with our policies and get those trees replaced. And that's it.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I have a list of things here I wanted to share. I'll try to be brief as possible. The dredge report is out. The 2023 budget allocation for dredging is about 5.5 million. I believe that's the Navy's share. If you want the paperwork, I'm happy to share it with anybody. I downloaded it today and printed it out. I already mentioned the Audubon Society Fund, and I want to thank also the Public Works staff for getting back to me so quickly on the traffic study that I requested at the last meeting. I forwarded that on to the constituents in the area who were inquiring about it, and they had a few questions, but I think they're going to seize their petition that they were going to create and submit. So now that they have the full picture of what's going on there on Boker in Channel Islands. I also wanted to mention that we at one time were going to allocate $250,000 from ARPA to the Family Justice Center, and I'm not sure what happened to that line item. Apparently the county still has us down for something. There's no number in that line, but if we can at some point find funds to support the Family Justice Center, I'd like to get that back into a funding cycle of some sort. I don't know if ARPA funding is going to be an option, but if we could keep that on our radar for future support and funding. I also want to thank staff for the improved technology in the council chambers. It sounds wonderful in here. I could really hear staff deliver their report. I don't know if she just spoke closer to the mic or what, or if it's a new mic, but it sounds a lot better. Is it my imagination, or do we have new mics?
Unfortunately, I think a lot of it's your imagination
Okay.
and Anna's good pronunciation and closeness to the mic,
'Cause
but we
I've
are
always had-
working on it.
Okay, great.
So
Well, the chairs are a welcome addition, so thank you so much
Absolutely.
for that. I'll also be attending the RDP 21 trip to Washington DC. And thank you for approving that for both Councilwoman Martha McQueen LeJohn. We'll be traveling to DC on Sunday and returning on a Thursday. I did get out to see the robotics competition on Sunday. I'm glad we're continuing to support that. I did notice the parking was a problem there. I hope that there can be some resolve to that. And congestion, they were bringing kids in by with these huge tour buses that were coming up on those small streets. And so if there could be a, excuse me, an option for for dropping off those students with those buses for the next time around, because they really do block the streets when they line up and park there. So.
Right, and so yes, that unfortunately a lot of this came to us very last minute, which is why, for instance, we're only approving parking at Lot C for next week, or this coming event, is because it came in too late last time. So we are going to reach out soon after this event and really try to encourage the folks that put on the event to coordinate the parking situation and again any other traffic impacts, because there is an issue with the neighborhoods nearby.
Sure.
Those streets are very tight. So
Mhm.
hopefully next year there's a much better program in
Right.
place for this entire event.
But it's really good for our city, the fact that these people are coming from all over the place and
So
spending
we do
money
wanna
here. and-
exactly. So we do want to try to accommodate them as best as we
Yes.
can, but hopefully with a much better, smoother plan
Yeah.
for going forward.
Definitely. I also want to talk about Ormond Beach, and one of the things that I've discussed with some of the stakeholders a while back, and I'd like to pursue this idea, and that is putting together an Ormond Beach collaborative, similar to the Sand Summit, is inviting all the stakeholders to a meeting where we can all get on the same page as far as what the issues are. We know when the Coastal Commission is going to go in there and do the cleanup, but what can we do in the interim? So I've been working on that. I would like the support of Councilman Gama in moving forward and doing an Ormond Beach collaborative. I've already reached out to the port and to Beacon, and everybody thinks it's a good idea. I think, I know with that at the last meeting, we asked the staff to reach out to Oxnard to see if Oxnard, if there could be some collaboration there, which I think is great. But I think we need to include all the players and get them around the table to see what we can do to clean up Ormond in the interim before they actually do the remediation on the site there at, what's the name of the site? The Helico site, yes. So more to come on that. I'm starting some planning with some of the stakeholders now, and I'll report back at the next meeting or thereafter. Councilwoman Perez and I had a meeting on this city manager recruitment. It seems to be going fine. The deadline for closing applications is March 13th. Staff is going to narrow it down to 7 applications for our review. Following that, we expect about 30 applications. We have 30 now? Okay. So, and whatever you want to add to your report as well. But I just wanted to let city council know where we are with that. I did want to talk about the community meeting that was held to solicit input on the city manager position from the public. The only people who were on there on that Friday afternoon were people who I notified that same afternoon. So we had a very low turnout. We had 4 people on the call. So I believe Mr. Jones is going to schedule another one, but I suggested that he use existing email lists that we have here in the city that go to HOAs, to businesses, to all our stakeholders, so we can really reach out and get more community input from those people who we know and who we have addresses for. So I hope staff can help Mr. Jones with that. so we can get more participation. And last but not least, I was honored to be voted in as vice chair of the Cal State Channel Islands Site Authority at our last meeting. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Hernandez. Mayor Pro Tem Perez?
Yes, I attended all my my committees, but I don't have anything to report specific that would be beneficial to Hueneme. It's very touch and go when there is something to report on. I want to remind everyone who's listening that the deadline extension for all the forms and applications, parade, vendor booths, food truck, cars, club, even lowrider clubs, or asking for anyone who wants to be a part of the 75th anniversary. It's been extended to March 10th. So please get your information in, get in touch with Maya Zumaya to get applications, or I think there's a website. Is there a website with all the applications?
I believe we do have a website up now as well.
Yes, so I've been helping out, trying to notify all the local elected officials, and I will make sure to extend invitations to former mayors and, other council members for the city. And that's it for the 75th. It's under works, and it's everything coming in at the last minute. For a while there, it was kind of touch and go as to whether anyone was going to be a part of it, and now everything's coming in all at once. The recruitments. So I think we are at 30, and we have people applying from Canada, from like everywhere, wanting to relocate, and some really good applicants apparently. So we'll be nailing that down and reporting back to council as to the top soon.
Nice. All right, so I don't think I'm gonna bore you with all the meetings that I had, but maybe a couple that you guys might be interested is I did speak to the mayor of Oxnard. They're pretty busy right now, but I think we can have a meeting with our council and their council before the start of the summer. The robotics competition was really nice. I was there with Councilmember McQueen, Lejon. Yesterday's basketball event, I wasn't sure if a lot of people were gonna show up because it rained in the morning. But it actually was really nice and there was a good turnout. I actually won the free throw contest and I gave away the prize to one of the youth that showed up, which was really cool. It was actually really nice to see a whole spectrum of people, different ages participating, which I think is so cool. And then I just want to let you guys know that on the 30th of April, I want to host a book reading event on our beach. I've already asked to talk to staff and it sounds like we're not going to need a special use permit. But if anybody would like to go and read, I'm going to give everybody a couple minutes to read either like a page or a short book and then just kind of explain what it means to them, what they read. So, and I'm looking for youth, participants, and anybody that's interested really. And that's pretty much it. So that's it for council member reports and comments. We're gonna move on to the request for future agenda items. I'd like to remind council members that all requested items will require a motion, a second, and a majority vote per adopted council policies to be placed on a future agenda. Does anybody have any requests for future agenda items? Councilmember Hernandez?
Yes, I just wanted to follow up on the public comment from Ms. Juliet Rodriguez about doing something at our next council meeting where we maybe bring a cake and we invite past elected officials from the city to honor them, recognize them as part of our 75th anniversary. I was not here at the time, but apparently that was done at our 70th anniversary. So I don't know if staff can pull that together or not in time. I'm willing to help, even bring the cake if necessary, but I know staff's pretty, I'm sorry?
Tony could do it.
Yeah, I'm not good at ordering cakes, but maybe I
Yeah.
can find someone who can. But we had the cake kind of set up right outside the lobby.
Yeah.
Here. We had a little intermission during the meeting.
Yeah. I know that Maya's got her hands full with a lot of different things, and I don't know that we gave her the full, realm of planning for the 75th anniversary. I know people are jumping in here and there trying to do what they can to help and then conducting some other activities on the side. But if there's some way we could do that, I'd be willing to help with that. And even extending invitations to those who are still living in the area and still around. So just let me know.
And we'll work on that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
An agenda item, but it is a request. I heard mentioned earlier the Explorer of the Year had a ceremony in February, but I wasn't aware of it. I'd like to know what events are happening, if possible, and because I would have liked to attend that. Since my daughter's an Explorer, it would have been nice to see. But other events that are happening, if anyone has a calendar or knows what's going on, maybe can notify, let us know.
Okay, I do have a request for a future agenda item. It's a business item regarding our sister city agreement with Puerto Vallarta. So I'd like to see that on the agenda so that I can at least bring everybody up to speed, and then maybe we can start recruiting people and getting it out there for the public.
Second.
All in favor? All opposed? Hearing none, motion passes unanimously.
All right, are there any other requests for future agenda items? Okay, I'd like to adjourn the meeting. The time is now 8:40 p.m. The next regular meeting is scheduled for Monday, March 20th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night.